So the Fortnite Chapter 2 leaks and teasers are starting to pile in, and it looks like they've ended a debate that the community has been having all year. Fortnite Chapter 2 isn't going to be OG, it's remixed. This branding is so intriguing to me because it creates a distinction from what we had last year with OG, but also potentially sets a precedent for month-long Fortnite seasons in the future. Anytime Epic wants to bring back a chapter from the past, they can now call it remixed. In a way, it almost feels like this is Epic's official statement saying that only Chapter 1 can be OG. And to me, this has always made sense. I've seen a lot of people over the last few months debate on whether or not Chapter 2 can be considered OG. And a lot of people were frustrated at the fact that some would consider it to be. Now, this is what's interesting to me, and this is something I found out when I first became a content creator. For those who don't know, I started making Fortnite content back in Chapter 2, Season 7. One of the things that my earlier audience told me was that a lot of them had actually started in Chapter 2. Now, if you're coming from the standpoint of someone who started playing in Chapter 2, to you, this is going to feel like your OG season. However, contextually, for Fortnite as a game, OG would have to be the first 10 seasons or the original chapter of Fortnite. OG means original.
Epic! I had an OG!
Now, outside of Chapter 2 being so many players' introductions to Fortnite, why is it that they are so passionate about Chapter 2 being OG? To put it simply, it's because Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 share a lot of the same DNA, and this is why I call it classic Fortnite. This is a distinction I make quite a bit, but I break Fortnite down into 3 eras. The classic era, which is Chapters 1 and 2, the modern era, which is Chapters 3 and 4, and the corporate era, which is Chapter 5. You could also call this the Find It in Fortnite or the Metaverse era. The latter of these two, I don't want to get into a bunch of detail as to why I came up with these distinctions. If you want to check that out, you can see some of my older content. However, when it comes to the first 2 chapters of Fortnite, why do I consider both of these to be classic? It's because the general play pattern between these 2 chapters were very similar in their nature. Although Chapter 2 brought in a lot of innovations and a lot of new features, it still shared a lot of the same loot pool and a lot of the same concepts and play patterns that we saw in the original era of Fortnite, or the original chapter. We still had different weapons at different rarities. We still had a lot of item slots. We were still using older POIs. And although it was a bit more realistic, it still had that cartoony, playful vibe that Fortnite had back in Chapter 1. It just felt like an updated version of it at the time. This is the reason why a lot of players say that Fortnite has lost its identity, because what we have now is so much different even from Chapter 2. Although I don't consider Fortnite Chapter 2 to be OG, it is definitely symbolic of classic Fortnite, and I can't wait to play it again. One of the things that makes me the most excited for this season is that we don't really know what to expect from it. Let's once again take a look at that branding, Remixed. That moniker implies a lot. There does seem to be a musical element to this season, which a lot of people are theorizing that we're going to get another Marshmello concert at the end, which is going to be our big end event. I have a theory on what that could be, but make sure you watch till the end because I think it might actually blow your mind. I do think that there's a possibility that there could be a heavy emphasis on music in terms of maybe getting remixed songs. We already saw that Marshmello has remixed the Chapter 2 Season 2 theme. It could be possible that there are some other musical remixes planned, but I think the remix moniker implies more than just music. Obviously, we're getting remixed cosmetics. T and Tina and Jules seem to be getting a fusion, as well as Midas and Meowscles, both of which, by the way, I called on stream, I think, last week, so glad to see that both of those are actually coming to fruition. Outside the cosmetics, what I'm most curious about is, are they going to remix the map? I know that the emphasis is going to be on the first 3 seasons of Chapter 2. That's very clear based upon the teasers. When you look at all the pins, a lot of them are things that are from that time frame. However, there are 2 of them that are actually from Chapter 1, the Boogie Bomb as well as the Boombox, which makes me think that we'll probably see those items somewhere in the loot pool. But more importantly than that, we have the Rift Butterfly. This was an important characteristic of Fortnite in Chapter 2 Season 6, when Jonesy transformed into it during the Zero Crisis event. In my mind, this could be implying that we could see some other things outside of the first 3 seasons of Fortnite within this time frame. Could it be the case that we get a few weapons from Primal sprinkled in? Maybe the Shockwave Bow or the Stink Bow? Could we maybe see the Last Reality turn up a little bit early? Not necessarily giving us a fleet of spaceships like we had before, but maybe a couple sprinkled around there with some of the alien weapons. Please, for the love of God, bring back the plasma cannon. That's all I want, Epic. You don't need none of the other ones, just that. I'm not saying this is necessarily going to be the case, but if we are remixing the first 3 seasons of Fortnite, I find it hard to believe that we're only going to be using assets, ideas, and features from that time frame. Don't get me wrong, the map did have significant changes, like the island was flooded, and of course we had the agency pop up in the middle in season 2, but in my mind, I don't see how you could remix or shift those concepts around to make a significant or meaningful change within the Fortnite island. I think Primal as well as Invasion had more impactful concepts that you could play around with outside of course, the island flooding. But listen, I'm okay with the concepts from the first 3 seasons. I'm just hoping that they sprinkle in a little bit of the other stuff in as well. If we're not going to be able to get the full Chapter 2 experience, maybe we can get some of it just dropped in. And listen, I could be entirely wrong and looking at this from the wrong context, but there is a little bit of hope inside of me that we will see that. And if we don't, it's okay because I'm telling you, I think this season is going to be a banger. One more month of us getting a chance to play some classic Fortnite. I couldn't be more excited. But you know what excites me the most? Is this implication of what the end event might be. A lot of people are theorizing that we'll get another Marshmello concert, and I think that there's a good, strong possibility that that might be the case. However, I also think there's a good chance the island could also flip over one more time. One interesting detail I'm seeing from Epic is them talking about this concept of flipping it over to the B-side. This, of course, is in reference to music, more specifically cassette tapes, and how we used to have to flip over the cassette tapes to be on the B-side list. And for all you young children out there that have never seen a cassette tape in your life, trust me, it was good times. You will never understand the joy that cassettes used to bring us old people. But that aside, I think Epic could potentially be implying that we will flip the island over to its B-side, like we did back in the original Chapter 2, Season 8, which is personally my favorite live event ever. The end event there was absolutely crazy. Also, think about it like this. Last year for OG, we ended the season off with a reproduction of one of the greatest live events in history, the Black Hole event. That, of course, led us to the Big Bang event with the Find It in Fortnite stuff. We got to see all of that in that live event. I don't see why the Marshmello concert couldn't be a similar concept. Maybe at the end of the season, Jonesy and Hope will flip over the island, thus revealing a Marshmello concert that we will be introduced to, and maybe some advertisement for a couple of the other new features that Fortnite's going to bring in, and then fades to black until we can see what the new Chapter 6 island looks like, or should I say the Chapter 1 Season 11 island. This is a theory that I've had for a few months now, and if you want to know more about it, check out the video on screen right here as I go into full detail on how we actually might not be going to Chapter 6. I love y'all. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.